All right, we're here for another small business spotlight. We're here with a good friend of mine that I've known for years, Joe Moskal. He wears more hats than I do. Not only do you have Royersford fence, but you also have Royersford tomato.
Yeah, it's dormant.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't done anything with that since COVID, and that's its own story. You know,
But you're
a
also
lot
a
of-
father, husband.
yes, that as well. But that teaching, teaching, fence, father, tomatoes on hold. You know, it's a.
But you were just saying, but that your kids, you were on your way here, and they're like, "That's the comedy place," but you're not funny. So
Yeah.
they thought that you couldn't even come here if you're not funny. Like that was the
Yep.
prerequisite.
Yep, I had to be funny, and they said, "Well, there's nothing funny about fencing." I said, "I don't know. I think you might be right." I said, "But we'll see how this goes. We'll see.
Well, no, we don't
we'll
have
see how
to.
this goes."
Yeah, we always have fun, entertaining people, but by way of telling people about small business. And you know, you've always been a fan of small business and working together. You know, Mike
Absolutely.
McCluskey of
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know if I'm following up on his show, but that's a tough act to beat. I watched that one twice.
Oh
He
yeah,
did
man.
pretty good. I don't know if you guys gave him a playlist beforehand.
No,
He did pretty good.
dude, he walked in. We gave him the ball and he ran with it, man.
Yeah.
He's it's good. But I mean, you're the
Lot of
same
good
way,
stuff.
man. You know, you were on Borough Council. That's how you and I first met
Yes,
in
sir.
Royersford,
Yep.
and you were at the opening night.
Yes, I was at the opening night.
And the comedian ended up making fun of you. Did you go to Westchester?
Yes.
Westchester. So you were to
Yep.
West, and then you said the comedian made fun of you, and then you came back like
It was
2 months
purple,
later.
It was purple. It was bad. It was something, and it didn't help. I bought a big bottle of Jack Daniels. It was
I
for
wasn't
the-
gonna bring that up, but
it
you
was
did.
it was for the whole table. Well, you know, it's a small town. News travels quickly. and
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
told I probably shouldn't have done that.
But you're like a comedian where I didn't have the chance to make fun of you. You took your legs right underneath you.
Yeah.
You're like, you can't make fun of me. I'm gonna make fun of myself.
That's right. That's right. And then I think I was sitting next to my beautiful wife, Brandy.
Yeah.
And,
Shout out to
he's
Brandy,
like,
your
"Well,
rock.
Absolutely, the best. You know, I think he made a comment on, you know, how did you get that, or how did that even work out, or what are you doing here with him? So it started out
And your
well,
purple sweatshirt.
sitting up front. Yes, sir.
But to your credit, 2 months later or whenever it was, it might have been a month later,
Yep.
you end up wearing that sweatshirt again.
Yep. Absolutely.
Like it's almost like a challenge. See if
It
the
is.
comedian can make fun of it
It is.
again.
Well, I mean, I've been here in other comedy clubs as well, and I don't know. I like to dress nice or
Yeah.
bright. You know, I don't usually wear grays, tans, or
Yeah.
you know, khaki colors. And
We're very
remember-
self-aware.
I remember it, not as good as Soul Joel, but I was down at Helium Comedy Club.
Yeah.
Go figure. It was one of my first shows. I go to sit up front.
Yeah.
I have like a purple shirt on with like a green polo horse, and of course I had a green tie.
Yeah.
And this guy's like, "Who dressed you? Walt Disney?" And it
Yeah.
was just on from there. I realized you never sit up front at a comedy show.
Oh,
I just
yeah,
kinda
yeah,
hide
yeah.
behind a pole over here.
Right. So the way I started in comedy, I was in pharmaceutical sales, and then comedy became my side hustle. So is that
Yeah.
a similar story with you with Royersford fencing? Because obviously you've been a teacher for
Yeah,
years.
Yeah, it's a very simple, organic story, and a lot of people, you know, the first question is, well, did your dad have this business? Did your, you know, was it a family business? And the
Yeah.
answer is absolutely no. And we started from an organic standpoint where the side hustle and kind of see an opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like you saw a river and
Right.
then you saw a dome. Well, I
I'm
helped-
just too stupid to quit, I tell
yeah,
people.
I helped my brother-in-law,
Okay.
Greg Lee.
Okay.
Shout out to Cornerstone.
Yeah.
In Douglasville.
Okay.
She was probably almost 20 years ago.
Is this Brandy's brother?
Brandy, our brother-in-law.
Okay.
My brother-in-law.
Okay.
And we rented the dingo. We had the machines. We had the fencing. My father-in-law and I went up there to go help him out. You know, we put in this fence, and it was terrible. Absolutely
Yeah.
the worst work you're ever going to want to do.
Right.
And lo and behold, you know, my business partner, my best friend Brian Carpenez, you know, I said, can we do this?
Right.
You know, because I can build things, but he's more like the brains of the operation on how it's going to work, what we need. He still does it to this day. He
Yeah.
orders all the material. I just go and talk to people and try to convince them to give me their money. But, you know, so he said, yeah, I think we can do this.
Yeah, you're the face of it, and he's the brain
Yeah, and I
behind
think
the
he prefers
scenes.
it that way. You know,
Yeah,
we have
yeah,
the
yeah.
Same truck.
Yep.
Mine clearly says Royersford Fence.
Yep.
All over it.
Yeah.
And you know, it's we're two opposite personalities, and it works absolutely really well.
Yeah,
And,
but it's not just homes the way people might think about it. Like for me, you helped us herd the audiences where we were at our outside dome, and people kept like going, and you know our landlord Rick Lewis, who was great to us. You know, we had some people that kept smoking or wandering, and it was
trying to swim in the river,
and it's like, and people go. They would literally argue with me on the first couple of shows outside. They go, I've been fishing down here for years. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't walk back this way. Like, you go clearly down. I don't. So I don't want to argue. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just call you. And you came up with, because we obviously knew that we didn't know how long we were going to be there, but we knew it was temporary because they're developing townhouses there. But you came up with a great temporary fence, and it kept people inside. Yeah. So no matter what the job calls for, I think you have a solution.
Yeah, and I think even, you know, currently, you know, we're busy enough, but I sell myself out of more work than I think, because when I show up, you know, it's more or less like purposely, where does it need to go? And we didn't need to do your whole property.
Right.
You know, and it was really just having that professional lens of doing it hundreds of times.
Right.
You know, so yeah, I mean, perfect solution for what you needed at that time. An odd request for herding drunk people, but you know, it was our first herding drunk people fence.
But that's your experience at going in and knowing what needs to do. Like, you don't need to go after a mouse with a bazooka. You know, you just need to find the simple solution.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then what about you said the tomatoes dormant?
Yeah, the tomatoes. I mean, the store. I mean, geez, organically and as quickly, and not to bore anybody. But you know, tomatoes started. I guess to like current point, tomatoes started from everybody's been here, where you started a garden.
Yep.
You're like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? You're tending to it. Then you go on that August vacation, and then you come back, and there's more tomatoes, green beans, or whatever, what have you.
Yeah.
Well, I came back to that, and I said, we picked it. You know, if you've ever grown anything, and if you're watching this, you know that's you. I decided to put stuff out there, and I said, well, let me mark it for $1. I put it right in the sidewalk in Royersford, and then I went back, and then I came back to put more on. I think it was like a cooler or something. They were gone, and that's where I was like, the light bulb went off. You know, I saw the river, I saw the helping a friend, and I'm like, oh my God, this might be something else.
Tomatoes are a gold mine?
Yeah. So, well, and Mike's probably laughing right now too, but yeah, who would have thought?
Right.
You know, but we went from that, and I was actively starting this fence company. You know, and back to that, borrowing my father-in-law's fence truck. Like, I didn't just go buy trucks and machines, and it was Brian and I in backyards, digging by hand, borrowing my father-in-law's truck, renting a dingo from Home Depot, starting a fence company in Monco Fence's backyard. Love you, Monco Fence. But anyway, back to the tomatoes. I was actively installing fences. Brian and I, you know, maybe a friend or two to help, really beginning. And obviously we started that the next year with the tomatoes. So while I was out doing the fencing on the weekends after school, those things, Mike had stopped by our house. Railroad Mike.
Yeah.
Owner of Railroad Street Bar and Grill, and we had been to his place. Brandy actually requested to go. I was like, why the hell would we go there?
I know.
You know, early on.
Well, I think I see all his posts right away.
Yeah.
And Joe Moskell's already commented. Like, it's a fun little community that we all got in there. Like, oh, the brilliant grilled cheese or a new magnet, whatever it is.
Yeah,
it's been cool.
A whole other separate part of my life.
But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, so, and one day, and no offense to anybody, because this is just a low and old story, you know, Mike had stopped by. He's always been a supporter of local.
Yeah.
And doesn't just send somebody there.
No.
Or to anything he's ever gotten involved in locally. Actually came. And I was building a fence, and Brandy had manned the table, or woman the table, but was selling everything on the table while I was at work, and she said, well, there's this guy here. And I guess it looked like he was the owner of Railroad Street Bar and Grill, and he either bought a lot or he bought everything.
Yeah, you're like, does he look like Paul Revere?
Yeah.
Now he got his haircut.
Now he's sexy, but
now he's yoga Mike.
Yeah, so ever since then, I think that was the catalyst and the offshoot of, you know, everybody's like, well, what tomatoes? I mean, it's like he's not joking when it's like meeting somebody of myself. You know, I think Mike and I are very similar in a lot of ways, where you had two people like Willy Wonka. Like, how can we, well, how about this? Just tossing around ideas, a creative partner. And we were never in it for the money. Like, nobody ever like, made a ton of money, but it was something really cool. Hence, to kind of take it to the end or the dormant period of tomatoes. And I don't know what he wants to do or what even I can do at this point, but COVID hit.
Yeah.
And we were like 6 feet away in a parking lot, in his parking lot, trying to get out of the house.
Yeah.
Had an outdoor fire. I think he had live music somewhere. And, we really said to ourselves, Mike's trying to keep a restaurant open.
Yeah.
Allowing all the tips or whatever to go to his employees to try to keep people.
Yep.
It was not the time to start tomatoes.
Yeah.
That coupled with a fence company that was absolutely going off the rails, so we'll have to figure that out. I can still grow tomatoes, but we did tomatoes, hot peppers, we did ketchup. That was probably the biggest and coolest accomplishment, if I can off-rail to ketchup. Just having labels with like your own SKU that's like a tomato. And
this is just wild, man.
A funny story about that.
Yeah.
Was the funniest story about tomatoes, because again, there's nothing funny about tomatoes.
Right.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Finally, but to get to that and to show somebody like Mike, no offense, but Mike couldn't grow anything.
Right.
So I think that organic process with his son Samuel, my 5 kids all growing up together as like tomato kids.
Yeah.
Like, it was somebody's like, well, what? How does that happen? But when we're pulling 600 pounds of like blue tomatoes, purple tomatoes, all these different tomatoes, grown by seed in my basement in Royersford.
Right.
Like, it was something cool. The one of the funniest things, because picking fruit, digging holes, it's not that fun. It's satisfying in the end.
Yeah.
You feel good about what you've done.
You have to stick to a timetable, I would imagine.
Yeah, a lot of times down there. How do we get water down the Linfield at Sacco Road? A lot of, we're going to need a shed. We needed a fence. So we built a fence around the garden. But
keep the squirrels out, the deer out, fox.
We had loaded up the truck. Mike was cutting, I don't know how many, he'll know the answer, but he was at the railroad single-handedly cutting up jalapenos that we had grown to make jalapeno ketchup.
Yep.
So he picks me up the following day, cut all the things. He's like, my hands are burning. Like, it's not even funny. It's going all through me. And we have the truck loaded with tomatoes, big dump truck loaded with tomatoes. We're going to Bauman's. I believe that's what it was called. Bauman's Farms, where they do like ciders and all these other things. They can process whatever you bring in. Okay. And we had the jalapenos, we had the ketchup. Well, Mike had the last strain, which is a bottle of Whistle Pig. And, if you know about Whistle Pig and Mike McCluskey, it's kind of close to his heart.
Yep.
So he whips out the bottle of Whistle Pig and tells the lady, can you put this in the production process? Lo and behold, they're Mormons or some religious sect where they despise alcohol 100%.
What are the odds?
And she said, get that out of here. We're not allowing that in the
Then
ketchup.
she's calling Mike a pig.
Yeah, so we had regular ketchup and jalapeno ketchup, but to bottle something and then sell cases of it that he was at the railroad, and tomato jam as well. Like, it was just really cool to say.
Oh, so the tomato jam that he used at railroad came from?
Yeah, it came from the tomatoes, and his guys learned how to make the tomato jam.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny you said there's no funny thing about tomatoes, but in my business, that's the thing that people get in the olden days get thrown at them if they're not funny. Mm-hmm. That's so funny. What about going back to the fencing? Is there any stories that stick out that are like?
I think horribly funny, and I
funny for the wrong reasons.
I wanted to be well more prepared, and I said, well, maybe it'll be worse, and I don't want to be looking at a piece of paper. But there's nothing terribly interesting, but just terribly funny things, and I'm going to be as honest as possible.
Dealing with the general public always happens.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're in someone's backyard. Things are going to happen.
Their personal space.
Early on, going back to my business partner, my best friend Brian, on our team, we would be in people's backyards Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
He works at GSK during the week.
Oh, okay.
I'm at school. He's at
So
GSK.
he's balancing and juggling his own
same deal.
life.
So
Yeah.
we're all working at night, before school, after school, and the weekend just makes 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And,
But at least you have summers off though too, right?
Well, yeah.
I don't want to say, but his job's year round, I would imagine,
Yes,
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
He's definitely year round.
Yeah.
Which gives me a lot of opportunity during the summer to do other things, for the business where I never had time.
Yeah.
Because right now, hopefully we're gaining more light, obviously, but I go from school, and most of the times I'm meeting people in the backyard at 4:30.
Yeah.
With a headlamp. It's not boohoo me, but that's just.
It's the reality
Some
right
people
now.
Start tomorrow and meet
Yeah.
at 12, and that's not our model.
Yeah. Because you got to react whenever people call.
Yeah.
You're getting the leads. You got to go close them.
So with that, kind of the way that we're set up, and I think we really win on customer service, but like funny things were like not so funny. Like we first started with friends.
Yeah.
Okay, like Joel would say, "Hey, let me, can you guys do this for me?" I'd say, "Yeah." You write a check to Joe Moskal.
Yeah.
And then we were like, "Oh my God, we need our own bank account. Like we're starting to do jobs for people we don't know." But back to people we did know, we've had friends that were like, it was Sunday, we might have hit some shale on the ground. We got like 4 more holes to go, or like didn't hang the gate. We got to work on Monday, and we've taken our share of Mondays off at our own jobs to finish jobs.
Yeah. You're taking off work to work.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
It's terrible, but I mean that's what. And then some people, like friends of ours,
Yeah.
we never did this professionally, but friends of ours when we first got started were like, "It's okay, guys, I'll finish it myself." So you think back to that grassroots, and sometimes it's not the prettiest, thing in the world, and I don't regret any of that. And
Yeah.
I don't try to hide or
Right. No. I mean,
that's where we started. Like
yeah.
Zero. Like
Yeah.
Nothing. Just an idea of can we do this, and
And how long has it been in business?
oh geez, almost 18 years.
Oh,
Almost 18
geez,
years.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been.
I knew it was over 10, but I didn't know it was almost
and
20.
Our team is really small. Like you always post like the Joelisms, 2 of them. Support those that support us. And I almost feel bad doing that, but like, listen, I saw Royersford Fence banner behind Andrew Dice Clay.
Dude, it's cool.
So that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
In my estimation.
But that's why I do it, man, because it's not fun. Like it's all been supportive and getting up to and helping everyone, man.
Right. It's either Joel or Rob Lagasse said it. I'm like, God, I can't come up with anything new.
No, dude. I don't mind. I don't consider it that creative, but I'm like I want other people to say, because then you're giving me credit.
The banner thing's cool because even there's a lot of the comics. Like anytime there's a video or like a picture, I love just scrolling through and seeing all these businesses.
Yeah.
In the background, it's not on a web page. It's not in a flyer. It's the freaking backdrop.
Yeah.
It's been like pretty cool.
I know, and the comics of course make fun of me for it being like a little league or like a minor league baseball stadium, but I mean that's what got us through a lot, because a lot of the shows I didn't make money, man. Yeah. Like and especially in the very beginning, and then that's how it all started, and I was able to pay for the sand and pay for the stage and everything, because of small businesses.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it was really cool, man. I'm glad you said something about that, because I always wonder what because when comics make fun of it too, I always think, I'm like, oh man, but that's why people sponsored a comedy club. Like it's almost like a free commercial.
Yeah.
Well,
that's if anybody else asks you to sponsor. First of all, I don't know if it's not a sign in a backstop or in an outfield.
Yeah.
Or we'll put it in the program.
Yeah.
Like let's be honest. I mean, if it's not a billboard, that's a pretty big billboard. And then notably, you see the comic.
Yeah.
You see the backdrop of all these local businesses that supported you from day one.
Yeah.
But then you see the hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And then people will send me pictures and be like, yo, look at this. There it is. They can't believe it.
And that's just the reason for them to reach out to you, and they're thinking about you, and then hopefully whenever.
There's a network here, and I think, I hope.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people get it. And
they
see the same
people supporting each other.
We're not Facebook, but there is an algorithm to this.
Yeah. Well, that's what's so funny.
You got a fence guy, you got a roofing guy, you got a sign guy, you got a whoever's going to do what for you.
Exactly, and that's why I didn't really take more than one person per business, because I'm like, You're
Thank
you're my fence guy. Exactly.
Thank
Dude, the one of the funniest plugs was Sean Cephas, who I had on here. He has Forever Changes. It's a record store in Phoenixville.
Okay. Yep.
And Dave Attell was on stage.
Yep.
And he goes, Forever Changes. I don't know what that is, but sounds like a great place to host a gender reveal party. And no, I went to text him, but something happened where I got called over and it was the middle of the show, so I didn't end up texting him until the next day when I'm thinking about it. And he goes, "Oh man, same thing you just told me." He goes, "People texted me during the show."
Yeah.
He goes, "But we're getting old."
That's
He goes,
cool.
"I was already fast asleep." He goes, "So thanks for waiting until the next day." It's just funny, man. And I didn't realize when we had our opening night here that you and Rob Lagasse, even though you knew each other, you guys had never actually met in real life.
Yeah, I'm just.
You guys had
I'm
networking.
that guy. I mean, people can call it whatever they want. I try to be. You know, if there's somebody out there that we have 100 and some mutual friends, well, I think a lot of people are like, well, oh, that's great. I don't know them, and that may be. That's fine.
Yeah.
But this is somebody that you could possibly network with.
Yeah.
You know, you could scratch my back. I'm going to scratch yours. You're going to need something. I'm going to need something. You know, even like, you know, meeting Rob in person for the first time, you know, then Anna Marie comes right over and is like, "Hey, how do you two know each other?" I'm like, "We don't. We kind of do, but we're friends with Joel.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
got invited to this
Right,
thing."
right, exactly. It was the who's
you know,
who.
Even,
yeah.
Even you know, Rob wrapped the truck. You know, Edge Signs and graphics, and he wrapped a new truck. And
so you had actually used them before that, or this is after that?
No, after that.
Oh,
you know, just kind of like
that's
putting
dope.
a name with a face.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, "You're gonna wrap my new truck. You're gonna wrap my new truck." Well, didn't get one for a while, but
yeah.
you know, and just that he knows our like yard sign guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't realize that all these things talk, and sometimes instead of maybe, and there's just different personalities out there. I understand it.
Oh, absolutely.
They'll be like, "Oh, you have 4,000 friends on Facebook." Yeah, they're Facebook friends, but I'm hoping if they think fence, they think of me.
Yeah, exactly.
Or, you know, want to go eat somewhere, they think of me.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
If I don't have any value to you, then delete it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But you know, I think Facebook is kind of a superficial marketplace.
Yeah.
You know, hence a better term, or you know, a platform. But
Yeah.
for a lot of people, you know, just like accept the fact that this is the way some people are communicating.
Exactly. Have you had any cool stories about people seeing your car wrapped up out in the community?
Yeah.
Because I got two for you.
I mean, I don't know if they're really cool, but you know, just like kind of like revealing. Like
Just you laughing at it beforehand is worth it.
Just like, "Oh, I see your trucks everywhere."
Yeah.
I'm like, "There's one."
Dude, people think I have a fleet.
Yeah.
They're like, "I saw someone driving your car." I go,
Let me know when I can.
That was
when
me.
I detail your fleet. I'm like, "It's wrapped. We don't detail it."
Yeah.
And two, there's one of them, and it's
Yeah.
probably me going to school.
Yeah.
And back home, or what
it's
have
car
you.
with an R at the end, no S. Yeah.
Yeah. So now Brian and I both have a truck, but
Oh, okay.
you know, and always have, but you know, there's only one.
Yeah.
And you know, this comes back to, you know, and I can't overshadow, and I've told him, but you know, Mike's a pretty, you know, if you tell him something, he's like, "Oh, well, thanks," or probably just won't say anything.
Yeah.
And I've told him a couple of times how much, you know, he's older than me. No offense, Mike, but you know, like coming into my life, like when I met him, I wouldn't say like, you know, like somebody who taught me a lot, not about just business. And I think in turn, I did as well.
Yeah.
Possibly family or whatever it is, but you know, just learning a lot from Mike and advertising and get that out. Like, who the hell turns a magnet into like, you know?
Yeah.
But again,
It's a household name. Everybody knows about it.
Yeah, that whole you know, idea
Yeah.
is the wrapping, is the
Yeah.
And he has a story that he told me about. Well, there was like he was delivering pizza down at the shore or
Yeah.
something like that, and the guy said, "Well, just go drive the car around." So you know, it's active engagement. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But I said, even if I'm just driving to Giant, or you know, something like that, somebody's going to see it. So my funny story is, we just did a job, and I said, well, I always ask, well, how did you find us? Were you referred to us by anybody? And the gentleman, the customer said, it was funny enough, I was on 23, And I drove past the firehouse, Ridge Fire Company. And he goes, lo and behold, I saw your truck there. You were putting in a fence. Well, we had run out of gas because I told my wife, said, when we dropped our daughter off, I said, I know I can make it back to the Sonoma.
I wasn't on a job site. There's no customers over there.
And as soon as he said that during the estimate, I was like, oh, yeah, that was a beautiful fence we built.
About that.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah,
I mean,
you didn't put one of your signs in there. Be like, another job from Royersford fence.
Yeah, just the exposure, and then people seeing it everywhere.
Yeah,
is probably the coolest thing to me. Even people were like, "Oh, where's the old blue truck?" It looked like something out of Jurassic Park. But the new one's just black with our logo, and apparently not as lively as the other one.
But people still know it.
Yes, yeah. I hope when people see that that logo, that it brings some type of recognition. Like branding and things. And people can tell you all day, dude, I see your signs everywhere. They are everywhere.
Yeah.
But you don't believe that.
Yeah.
Even I mean, I don't know. I mean, unless you're a railroad magnet guy. I mean, is your stuff really everywhere? I mean, I see your stuff everywhere.
But that's probably the mentality. That if they see it a few times, they're seeing it over and over again.
Yeah.
The reality is that their perception is that they're seeing it.
So.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Well, the funny thing is, so I initially got into comedy because I wanted to be a comedian, and I that's all I thought I was gonna make. But I realized quickly we're big guys, we like to eat. Yeah. If I was gonna make a living and put food on my table, I'm gonna have to be the guy who puts it all together, be like the event planner, and then eventually own my own place. Well, I had the rap. It was a year ago, or early this year, and I was the only. I was the uncle that didn't have work on Monday. So my nephew was sick, so I stayed home. We DoorDash because I didn't want to leave the house.
Yeah.
Lady comes for DoorDash and goes, "You're the bingo man from Pottstown?" And my 6-year-old nephew goes, "Bingo man?" And I go, "Get in the house. Get in the house."
Oh my god.
But they just saw the logo and just thought of me. It's just. But again, it's recognition for one reason or another, and it's not a bad thing.
Absolutely.
But I was like, I'm not going to be known as the bingo man.
Yeah.
But I think you people start knowing you. They see the fence and then Royersford fence, like that's your symbol.
It's tough. It's a tough business. They're big ticket items.
Yeah.
So somebody might come to a show, spend a couple bucks. Somebody might get grilled cheese or do this from other vendors that we know. It's a tough sell and it's a tough market. There's other companies out there, and we're definitely not the cheapest.
Right.
And
it's like people are going to buy a car. It's like they do that every whatever.
If you're going to shop around and get 7,000 estimates, I mean, I'm sorry. It's probably not going to. We're not going to be for you, but it's a tough market for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So where do you see this going, man? What's the next step, you think?
Well, we've just done we've done ordinary things really well.
Yeah.
And I never forget when somebody told me that was, you can just do ordinary things, but doing like ordinary things really well.
Yeah.
Just going back to basics, from estimate to, hey, wow, I just called you. I just left a voicemail. I can't even get anybody else to call me back. Just doing what we've done.
The customer service.
And I always, my wife will hate me for this. I said, these are processes. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Concrete, materials, calling people, like the consistency.
Yep.
Not like the consistency in McDonald's because everything's kind of different. But, just kind of always given that 100% customer service via email, on the phone. And you just didn't come up with this idea. Yeah. Okay, like even Soul Joel. Like,
it's been a work in process.
May just be spending money on you, and your idea and the persona that this has here.
Yeah.
Because anybody can come in with a black and white something and be like, well, this is the way I want it to be.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a good teacher.
Right.
It takes a boring book because you're going to learn it no matter what. You're going to get offense no matter what.
Right.
But it's like, God, do I really feel good about who I'm giving my money to?
Right.
And I believe a lot of people do. But where do I see this going? Our team right now is myself, Brian Carpentez, his wife Christina, and my wife Brandy. Both Brandy and Christina handle everything via email, phone calls, kind of the brains of the operation. And some people love not talking to 30 different people.
Right.
If you're on the phone, you're probably going to talk to Brandy. If we're setting up a job, it's going to be Christina. So I think where I see this going is continue to do what we've done well. I don't see a need to reinvent.
Right.
Or expand to something really big that, no one can handle, because right where we're at is where we're giving 100% customer service and 5-star reviews on Google. Like it's all just repeating that process. And darn it, calling people back. No one does it.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's roofing. It's in my own life.
Yeah.
After you have my money, my gate's not closing.
Yeah.
And if you know me, I've built a fence for you. I have somebody there within 2 days to make that adjustment.
Yep.
Well, this is crooked, or so. Oh, hey, I think this post is settling, and that's the biggest thing, because after you spend the money and you maybe hired a company for $400 cheaper or what have you, depending on whatever your household project is.
Yeah.
I need the person who, hey, I got a problem with this, and I know the owner.
On the back end.
You buy a corporate something or a big corporation, and you get a roof. Who you're calling?
Right.
I talked to so and so. I didn't know anybody on the roof here.
Right.
And I want to keep that somebody knows. Well, if I have a problem with the fence, I'm going to call Joe Moskal, and him
Yep.
and his team are going to figure it out.
Well, you're so right, man, because two things that happen to me, from my perception, is people will be surprised not only that I answer so fast, but I'm the one answering emails or checking into an event. It's a huge event. Well, I'm checking people in.
Right.
They're like, you got the big guy, and it's not the VIP section.
Yeah.
I'm doing it at the general admission. I'm like, yeah. I go, because I want to greet people. This is my cheers. And I think you're right, and I don't ever reflect on it until someone else brings it up. But I think that does go a long way, and I don't realize it. I don't do it on purpose, but I just do it because I want to be hands-on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's a big part.
That's going from the nitty-gritty, Brian in the backyard. Now we have a strong team in the field.
Yeah. Building it brick by brick.
Yeah, led by Luis Gazga, our head foreman. He has adopted the same thing and has, I don't know if he's learned from us, but there's a way. And he has the way to talk to customers, speak to the crew, clean up the job, do whatever needs to be done. So I think it's just a repeating those processes.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is when you guys did my job, and like we said, it was going to be temporary, but it's like Best Buy or someone coming in and installing or whatever it is, Verizon. Right. They give you these large windows of like 10 to 2.
Right.
So I'm like, I have like 2 hours. I'm like, I don't know how long it's going to take.
Right.
Dude, they had this whole system. They were done in and out, I think, in like 35 minutes. Yeah. And they were like, see you later. I'm like, that was amazing.
No more drunk people in the pond.
Right. But what you just said is they have such a strong team. You have such a strong team, right. But they also have the systems in place that they developed, that they knew what they had to do. They looked at it and they strategically put everything in place.
A lot of people see it and they go,
knocked it out.
Can't, and it's not.
I had no experience in that.
Well, let's see how fast we can do it.
No, and I didn't think it was Domino's back in the day. And 30 minutes or less.
Yeah. So you got guys setting posts, and not to get into all that, but it is a process that we follow, and we're really good at it.
Yeah. And that's why I think you probably have hired one guy at a time, and then they bring the training process.
And even like you're like, hey, I have emails, or I'm answering. My biggest problem, with me is like, where do I see this going? It's so hard because I am me. Yeah. I'm a teacher as well, so teachers are control freaks just by nature. Right. You're the sage on the stage.
Yeah. You have to control. Yeah.
And most of the times I do listen, but our team, Christina, Brandy, Brian, Luis, everybody's really good at what they do. Sometimes I get in the way. And I'm like, what would you answer the email for? I was going to answer that. And I'm like, we didn't answer in like 3 minutes, because Crazy Joe and Crazy Joel. Like, why are you out here? Well,
You're on your.
I'd show up to a job sometimes, and Luis would be like, do you need something? What are you doing here? Do you still know how to dig holes?
I was just checking up.
You still know how to dig holes?
Yeah. Well, once you sign the contract, you.
and with our crews and building fences, it's quote funny.
Yeah.
Is like you can clearly drive around and see structures, fences that we've built.
Yeah. Or you could just tell just by looking at it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Or we have our fence tag.
Right. Well, of course. Right.
What have you? And my kids will go, Daddy, you didn't actually build that. So it's like, hey, do
Yeah.
you want it back to work? It's
Yeah.
7 days a week. I'm working till like Brian and I had tripod lights, 10:30
Yeah.
at night, finishing fences in the summer.
Right.
Early on, Luis has been out there early on. We're doing every Saturday, every Sunday. We backpedaled off of that, just doing the week now.
Right.
So everybody's kind of, it wasn't just, Brian and I who went through
Right.
it. Our wives went through it. And then we're like, hey, do you want to join this crazy team, Luis?
Yeah.
And
Just
then,
little by
Luis
little.
and crew joined, and there's no, hour. We're here to get a job done. We don't sit around
Yeah.
for an hour and eat.
Right.
And we're done because by the time we leave your house, you want to let your dog out.
Exactly.
Or you don't want to look at your neighbors.
Right.
Or,
You want it to be
whatever
finished.
reason we're there, something's going to happen. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, we'll be back tomorrow. And then you're sitting here hounding the roof guy or the garden.
You know what it's like to be in their shoes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, I don't have kids, but I'm a proud uncle. So I would be
Yeah, you are.
thrilled if one day, if one of them, take over the business or get involved.
Yeah.
Do you ever see, like I asked you about the future, you mentioned your kids and everything. Do you ever see, and not that you would force them or anything like that, but
Yeah.
do you see them getting involved? Or Brian, I don't know if he has kids.
Yeah. Brian has 2 boys, Mason and Jack.
Okay.
I believe Mason's a junior or senior now, and Jack's a little bit younger. I don't know. I don't think anybody has like a hard-blown interest to be into the fence. I think it looks good now.
Yeah.
For some of them, but I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna do. I would think it would be one of my daughters.
Okay.
My son doesn't really seem to be too interested in fencing, building fences, selling fences. He'll go on one estimate if I take him to Wawa.
Okay.
Like during Christmas break. Like if they know they're going to Wawa,
Yeah.
I see some of my daughters.
If you juice up the offer.
Yeah, like Chloe.
Little dangling
Chloe,
carrot.
I can see, really just because you have to be a certain way with people.
Yeah.
Assertive to where they need you to tell them not what to do, but, help me think about this.
Well, they had the idea, but you have to bring it to life. You bring it to
Absolutely.
fruition and kind of
Absolutely.
guide them. Because I think a lot of people, they want to buy, but they want to be told what to buy or what they're interested in.
Right.
I probably would have no idea, but I want to hear from you. That's why I bring someone like you in, because
Yeah.
I want to hear.
And 9 times out of 10, just a tip for business, and I see this go wrong all the time. At school I work with predominantly all women.
Right.
Probably about 99%, and we all hire people.
Yeah.
If you come to my house to paint my house, talk to my wife. Don't talk to me, because she knows the color. She knows this. And I don't know if I've won. I have girls. I'm married. I work with,
Yeah.
just a tip of anything. If you're standing there between a husband and a wife, talk to the wife.
Okay.
Talk to the wife.
Right. Without offending the husband.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep making eye
And
contact.
if you're talking to the husband and the wife's not home,
Yeah.
just say, I'm leaving these for your wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know she doesn't like wood or vinyl. I know she wants aluminum, but
Yeah.
she's having a glass of wine. Just have her check these out, because ultimately,
That's funny.
she's going to make the decisions.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that I've known, we've been in this business. We've if you own a house, you know what it's like to get a few estimates, and you're just like, man, that guy he sat there and talked to my husband the whole time. I've heard women just say, hey, bud, look over here. I'm the one making the decision.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people go in.
That's like sales
like,
101, right? I
and
mean,
go and talk to the man, and then sometimes you got to read that.
Yeah.
You have to read that.
You're like, I didn't wear camouflage for nothing.
I mean, well, what is the bad review going to be? Or like, I didn't
Right.
like that guy. He wanted to know what my wife thought.
Right.
Come on. I mean, 9 times out of 10, you're going to win by getting what she wants.
Yeah.
Because we will just.
But that's just smart business.
I think so, and I've just learned, because you are nothing will prepare you for a Soul Joel interview, but like my kid said, I'm not funny, but I'm essentially going for an interview every day.
Yeah.
And like some of the people I listen to, like Jim Rohn and Les Brown, and some people are into that, some people aren't. I'm a fan of personal development. I don't push it on anybody. You rarely see me post stuff, but I'm listening to it every day.
Yeah.
Getting jacked up and not feeling bad about myself, and just going for a walk every day. But I think ultimately to sell something, like I don't do door-to-door sales. I don't
Right.
solicit.
Right.
You invite me to come to your house.
Yeah.
But trying to sell something, you just can't be this, or you just can't be a motor mouth or anything like that. Like, you really are in an interview.
Right.
And some people you never hear back from, but I will tell you, 70% of the time will say, Joe, I really like Joe, or I liked Christina when I talked to her. I liked Brandy when I talked to her on the phone.
Yeah.
That lady in your office is so sweet.
You're developing
And I'm like,
relationships.
that's my wife.
Oh,
I'm
you
like,
do tell
my
people.
God. Yeah.
Yeah, that would probably love the fact
Yeah.
that it's a family business. Yeah.
And then sometimes Brandy goes and does the estimates. We get most of those. And I tell her to talk to the husband, but you know, yeah. that's all I got. That's all I got, folks. Yeah, so it's tough. I mean, sometimes you just get so ingrained. Oh, how many estimates do I have today? Where am I going? And it's really somebody's invited you.
Yeah.
You're in a pocket of 3, 4.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, here's my 8th estimate. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. No
Yeah.
offense to anybody, but you know, just selling something is its own. It's like doing this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, God, is Joel gonna like me? Is Joel not gonna like me? Dude, you know,
Yeah.
you start hearing yourself talking. You're like, all right, hand him the tablet and leave.
Yeah.
You know, because you're like so excited about their backyard, and I think a lot of people, you know, enjoy that passion. That, hey, the other guy was in and out of here in 5 minutes. He didn't even talk about this.
Yeah.
He didn't talk about that or how I could save money here, and he never gave me any options. He told me this is what I wanted. So, you know, you learn, and it's reciprocal.
Yeah.
You know, and you just I
it's
never am the same every week. I learn something, and usually it's about messing up or reading the customer and going, wow, well, that didn't work. That didn't work out well.
Well, one of the things that I did too is what you're saying, treating every customer equally, knowing who your customer is, but you're not ignoring either one, and you're making them both feel special, whether it's the husband or the wife. Well, I had Ray come in. He's one of the kings of Philadelphia. He was Kevin Hart's mentor, and then Kevin Hart blew up. So he was here this past weekend, and he did, instead of one king, he did 2 kings. It was the king of New York and the king of Philadelphia. He brought in this comic Talent, and I've had Talent's son on my shows. He followed in his dad's footsteps. And I met Talent before in New York when I was living there, but I never had him.
His name is Talent?
Yeah, stage name. Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, well, let me tell you, he backs it up.
I better change this.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Talent.
Yeah.
Royersford
Dude, wild. Exactly.
Wow.
So he comes, and he had such a good time. We always have the comics sign a headshot, and my brother-in-law offers them something from the restaurant to eat, and a couple of drinks. There's so many animals in this business that they don't treat, you know, at comedy club owners the talent right, and just a small little thing of a gesture. Well, he turns around and he does all these bus tours, and whether it's the Catskills or the Poconos or different places, he's bringing a bus tour here in February, and he's bringing Tommy Davidson. Okay. I mean, that's our era from. Do you remember?
No way.
Do you remember him from In Living Color? But like, I wasn't expecting any of that. I just treating him like anything else, and now it's like, you don't know where things are going to lead. It's probably just like, you know, you treating a customer right, and then they can refer to you their neighbors or see you, you know, run out of gas on the side of the highway. You never know.
Yeah, well, I was building a fence. It's just not up yet. You know, I'm sure if Ridge Fire Company was building a fence, they'd
so
hire
funny.
Us, but I was thinking, she's like, I told you, and we were just cracking up about
it. But you have the right mindset. It's 2 couples, a husband and wife, and you guys have built this brick by brick, man.
It's tough. I mean, it is not, you know, because when you have 4 people trying to work together organically, like we weren't hired by a business,
right?
And
no training, no blueprint.
You know, when you build a garden, the bugs are coming.
Right. Exactly.
So, you know, people were like, oh, wow, this guy thinks he's going to start a fence company. I mean,
right.
Particularly other fence companies' backyards.
Right.
You know, and well, what were you thinking? What are you thinking? Like, you'll never make it. You know, it's kind of like what Mike's old story. Sorry, Mike.
He's the best.
Is just that, like, how many people told him that he would completely crumble over grilled cheese?
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, like, have you thought of grilled cheese like that? So, I mean, it's the same idea. God, if I would have actually listened to people, you know, it just, you know, to just have that, like, I bought T-shirts and business cards before we even had a fence company.
Right.
So, like, people were like, how'd you get started? How did you move here? Where'd you do?
It all evolves.
Like, it didn't show up.
Right.
You know, like,
but having a guy like Mike in your
absolutely
on your court and having your back, he comes to me all the time and goes, how can I help you? He's the first person that told me this place was for sale. He's the reason why I ended up here.
Yeah. Well, he's the secret commercial realtor. He knows the stick. He knows what's going on, right?
Yeah. Yep. He's got, but he still didn't have to send it to me.
No.
Yeah, it's he just wants everybody else to do well.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
And speaking of that, you know, and I've thanked him endless times, hopefully enough, you know, and supported his restaurant tenfold after Tomatoes. I mean, my
Yeah.
daughter works there, you know, but we dine there, geez, at least once every 2 weeks,
Yeah.
But, you know, he allows us to keep our stuff down there in the back of the parking lot. Sometimes it's messy. We'll clean it up. You know, but that's what you're going to get from someone like him.
Yeah.
Is all like roses and, you know, whatever?
Forever.
No,
Yeah.
He's going to tell you.
Yeah.
You know, straighten this up, or
Yeah.
you know, this is, hey, it's not looking good down here. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
He has no reason, no skin in the game to help us.
Yeah.
With our fence company, and has. So for that, I'm forever grateful. You know, that and just being somebody who, you know, I admire, look up to, and
Yeah.
because he's older.
So,
Definitely older.
how can people get a hold of you? I know you have Facebook, Instagram,
Yeah,
your
Facebook
website.
at Royersford Fence. You know, RoyersfordFence.com. The biggest thing is, and I've kind of wanted to throw it in a pond a couple times, but my cell phone number is our business phone number.
Okay.
Whatever's on my truck that's who you're gonna get me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And if you get the voicemail, I'm working or can't pick up the phone, I'll forward it to Brandy. Brandy in our office will give you a call.
Yep.
Christina will follow up with you. But that phone number is 610-564-1142. Again, nobody's like, hey, dude, you want to go golfing? It's
Yeah.
usually just like,
Yeah. Come over
You
and
know?
look at my backyard.
yeah, absolutely. Can you text the number? Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
not?
yeah,
Yep.
Yep. That's your phone number.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, man. Wishing nothing but the best, and thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.